She told her friends not to worry. She was sober. She had a plan. She would grab a taxi and be home safely before sunrise. Nobody, not her closest friends, not her family back in Ireland, could have predicted that those would be the last moments anyone who loved her would ever see her alive. Her name was Karen Buckley. She was 24 years old, bright-eyed, and on the cusp of finishing her master's degree. Within hours of leaving that nightclub, she was gone, and the man responsible had already begun a chilling, methodical attempt to make sure her body was never found. This is her story. If this is your first time joining us here on Cold Case Chronicle, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And if this story moves you, drop a comment below. We read every single one. Karen Buckley came into the world in 1991, the youngest child and only daughter born into a close-knit farming family in Morney Abbey, County Cork, Ireland. She grew up alongside her parents, John and Marion, and her 3 older brothers on land that had been worked and loved for generations. It was a grounded, wholesome upbringing, the kind where hard work was expected, community mattered, and family came first. At St. Mary's Secondary School in Mallow, Karen threw herself into Gaelic football with the local Morney Abbey team, channeling the same determination into sport that would later define her academic and professional ambitions. Classmates and teachers alike remembered her as a magnetic someone whose presence lifted the room without her even trying. During her teenage years, she picked up part-time work as a waitress at the Hibernian Hotel in Mallow. It was there that her natural warmth made such an impression that colleagues coined a fond nickname in her honor, a playful nod to her Irish roots and the unshakable cheerfulness she brought to every shift, no matter how exhausting. One supervisor later reflected on the memory with unmistakable affection, describing how Karen could never do enough to help, always smiling through the long hours of weddings and evening functions. After secondary school, Karen pursued nursing at the University of Limerick, earning her degree with the same drive that shaped everything she touched. Her ambitions then pulled her toward occupational therapy, a field where her compassionate instincts could make a tangible difference in the lives of others. That path took her to the Princess Alexandra Hospital in Essex, England, and eventually to Glasgow Caledonian University in Scotland, where she enrolled in a master's program and settled into a flat in the Garnet Hill area of the city. She was, by every measure, thriving. She had traveled through Europe and journeyed as far as Southeast Asia with college friends, a trip to Thailand among the highlights of her young life. She had 2 brothers living in Australia and was looking forward, once her degree was complete, to visiting them on the other side of the world. The future felt wide open. Saturday, the 11th of April, 2015. Karen headed out with a group of friends to the Sanctuary nightclub in Glasgow, arriving shortly before midnight. By all accounts, the evening was light and enjoyable. She was in good spirits, sober, and fully in control of herself as the early hours of Sunday morning rolled in. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, Karen told her friends she was heading home. She reassured them she had a plan. She would take a taxi. She would be fine. Her friends were uneasy but didn't push back. She seemed composed. Confidence. Safe. She never arrived home. As Sunday unfolded without a single word from Karen, concern among her friends shifted into alarm. They contacted Police Scotland, filing a missing person report. Officers moved quickly, launching a widespread search across the city. Early in the investigation, a discovery at the nightclub added urgency. Karen had left her jacket behind. Then came something far more significant. CCTV footage placing her outside the sanctuary speaking with an unidentified man. The 2 were captured on camera leaving the area together. Her parents, John and Marion, flew over from Ireland almost immediately. They stood before cameras and appealed, with quiet devastation, for any information that might lead them to their daughter. On Monday, the 13th of April, Police Scotland released still images from the CCTV recordings, asking the public to help identify both the man seen alongside Karen and a Ford Focus vehicle visible in the footage. By Tuesday, the 14th of April, officers confirmed they had identified and tracked down the individual from the recordings. Another key piece of evidence also surfaced: Karen's handbag, recovered in the Kelvindale area of Glasgow. That single find narrowed the search considerably. Forensic teams and investigators descended on Dashholm Park, near where the bag had been found, as well as a flat on Dorchester Avenue. By Wednesday evening, a 21-year-old man had been detained in connection with Karen's disappearance. His name was Alexander Pacto. Alexander Benjamin Pacto was born in January of 1994, the eldest of 4 children. His father, a French national, had once operated a successful courier company. His mother stayed at home to raise the family. In his early years, Pacto lived in relative comfort in the Bearsden area of Glasgow. But comfort did not produce calm. From an early age, Pacto was known for disruptive, difficult behavior, so consistently that the labels seemed to follow him wherever he went. He attended Kelvinside Academy during his teenage years, but when his father's business collapsed, the financial fallout sent the family into a tailspin and Pacto transferred to Bearsden Academy. He was unremarkable academically, kept a narrow social circle, and was frequently described as awkward and uncomfortable in group settings. At 17, in 2011, he dropped out of school altogether with intentions of launching his own courier venture. He briefly enrolled in a business course, but abandoned it without completing a single qualification. That same year, a deeply troubling allegation emerged. A 24-year-old woman who had agreed to share a taxi with Pacto after meeting him outside a nightclub claimed he had forced her into an alleyway and attacked her. Her cries reportedly drew the attention of 2 passers-by, whose intervention ended the assault. Pacto was brought before the court and found not guilty in 2013. Also in 2013, his parents' marriage ended. Pacto moved between households, first with his mother in Drimmen, then with his father, until tensions over his father's new relationship resulted in him being told to leave. He relocated to Drumchapel. In 2014, he was convicted of counterfeiting currency and handed 25 hours of community service. By February of 2015, he had moved into a 3-bedroom flat in the Kelvinside area of Glasgow, the very flat that would soon become a crime scene. In the early hours of Sunday, the 12th of April, after Karen stepped into Pacto's vehicle outside the sanctuary, he drove to Kelvin Way. There, he struck her repeatedly with a spanner, delivering between 12 and 13 blows to the head, fracturing her skull, then strangled her. The post-mortem would later confirm that the combination of blunt force trauma and soft neck injuries caused fatal brain hemorrhaging. What followed was not the act of someone overcome by panic. It was calculated, deliberate, systematic. Pacto transported Karen's body to his flat and submerged it in a bathtub filled with caustic soda sodium hydroxide in an attempt to break down physical evidence. When his flatmate was due to return, he drained the bath, wrapped the body in a duvet, disposed of the murder weapon in the Forth and Clyde Canal, and set fire to contaminated items. He then purchased a large blue barrel and additional caustic soda. He placed Karen's body inside the barrel and arranged to rent an outbuilding at High Craigton Farm on the outskirts of Glasgow, where he stored it. CCTV cameras recorded him at various points buying cleaning supplies, gloves, a face mask, and chemicals. He was also captured on footage asking a shop assistant for advice on removing blood from a mattress. Digital records later revealed he had searched online for the properties of sodium hydroxide. His car was professionally cleaned. When officers visited his flat for the first time, no one answered the door. On the second visit, Pacto opened it, and investigators immediately detected a powerful odor of bleach. Inside his bedroom, they found duct tape, nail brushes, a toolbox, and a mattress that clearly did not belong to the bed frame beneath it. A receipt confirmed recent purchases of padlocks and caustic soda. Traces of Karen's blood were recovered from the bedroom, the bathroom, and the interior of his vehicle. Soil analysis of his tires placed him at Dawsholm Park, exactly where her handbag had been left. Every thread of physical evidence pointed directly at one man. A tip from one of Pacto's acquaintances eventually led police to High Craigton Farm. Officers examined storage units secured with newly purchased padlocks. Beneath a sheet, concealed alongside a bicycle wheel and a paper shredder, they discovered the blue barrel. At approximately 8 o'clock on the evening of the 15th of April, 2015, investigators examined the barrel's contents. Karen Buckley's body was found submerged in caustic soda. Pacto's fingerprints were found inside the barrel. Confronted by investigators, Pacto cycled through multiple contradictory accounts of what had taken place. Version 1. Karen had come back to his flat and left around 4 in the morning without incident. Version 2 delivered in a formal statement at Helen Street Police Station. The two had shared drinks and engaged in consensual activity, and Karen had accidentally struck her head on the bed frame. He claimed to have noticed blood afterward and panicked when news of her disappearance circulated, burning stained items as a result. Version 3, offered later in questioning. Karen had hit him during a consensual encounter, and he had responded by striking her. Investigators believed none of it. In August of 2015, Alexander Pacto appeared before the High Court in Glasgow and admitted to murdering Karen Buckley. He offered no explanation for why he targeted her. No motive was ever provided. Lady Rita Ray, the presiding judge, sentenced him to life imprisonment, ruling that he must serve a minimum of 23 years before becoming eligible to apply for parole. Detective Superintendent Jim Kerr, the senior officer who led the inquiry, did not mince his words in the aftermath. He described the attack as entirely unprovoked and warned that any woman could have been chosen as the target that night. Speaking with quiet gravity, he stated that there appeared to be a premeditated plan to find a victim and that Pacto had been both calculated and callous in everything that followed, making a sustained effort to conceal all trace of what he had done, even as Karen's family waited desperately for answers he could have given at any time. In the wake of the conviction, Karen's family publicly acknowledged the extraordinary efforts of Police Scotland and the broader Glasgow community. A vigil was held to celebrate Karen's life and provide some measure of comfort to those who had gathered to grieve with her family before they returned to Ireland to lay her to rest. In 2016, John Buckley walked onto a stage and accepted his daughter's master's degree on her behalf, the qualification she had worked so hard toward and never had the chance to receive in person. In the moments after sentencing, he spoke with the measured voice of a father who had been shattered but not silenced. He made clear that no sentence could return their daughter to them, that she had been taken in the cruelest imaginable way, and that they mourned her every single day. Yet he expressed a determined hope that the conviction would protect other women from the man who had stolen her future. He spoke of Karen as being at peace, and of the family's belief that she watches over them still. Karen Buckley was 24 years old. She wanted to help people for a living. She wanted to see Australia. She wanted to finish her degree. She deserved every bit of the future she had planned. Thank you for watching Cold Case Chronicle. If Karen's story affected you, please take a moment to like this video and share it. Awareness matters, and so does keeping the memory of victims alive. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you haven't already, subscribe so you're notified every time we publish a new case. We'll see you in the next one.